Sham Sharadavam Nalalida Lokam Tranaya Karunyam Ghana Ganatvam Sham Sharadavam Nalalida Lokam Tranaya Karunyam Ghana Ganatvam Prapta Sakalyana Gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Praptasya Kalyana Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam 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 Vande Guru Shri Mahaprabhu ki Tana Nitya Gita Vaditra Madhyam Manasura Sena Mahaprabhu ki Romanchakam Paso Taranga Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Romanchakam Paso Taranga Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Shri Vigrahara Dhana Nityanana Shringara Tanma Diramarjanado Juktasya Bhaktamsa Niyunjatape Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Chaturvedha Shri Bhagavat Prasada Satana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sanghan Chaturvedha Shri Satana Triptan Kridvaiva Tripte Bhajata Shadeva Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Vidvaiva Trupte Deva Vande Guru Shri Shiradikama Vavayarapara Madhura Leela Punarupanamna Shiradikama Madhura Leela Punarupanamna Pratikshana Sadhana Lalupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Pratikshana Sadhana Lalupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Ne Kunja Yuno Ratike Visidhyai Jayali Bher Jukte Apekshaneya Ne Kunja Tatrati Daksha Ativalabhasya Bande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Ativarabhasya Sakchadharitena Shamasta Shastre Uktastatha Bhavyataiva Sadhavi Sakchadharitena Shamasta Shastre Kintu Pravarja Priya Eva Tasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasada Yasya Prasadam Nagati Kutapi Yasya Prasada Sada Yasya Prasadam Dhyayam Stuvam Tasya Yasastri Sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Dhyayam Stuvam Yasastri Sandhyam Vande Guru Dhyayam Stuvam Tasya Yasastri Sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunavadi Pachatari Shatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Nirvishesha Shunavadi Vattatari Shata Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hariyaraye Namah, Krishna Jadavaye Namah, Jadavaye Madhavaye Keshavaye Namah, Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudam, Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan, Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita, Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhattaraguna, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasara Guna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Shri Radha, Nila Madhava Radha, Nila Madhava Radhe. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Sudarshan Chakra. Jaya Sitaram, 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 Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Di Pramanandi, Haribo. Jayam Vishnupara Paramsa Parvajakacha, Suttara Sarashishimat, Iskon Pratishta, Bibiti Samstapakacharya, Vaishnava Siramani, Gaura Priyajana, Krishna Prema Bhaktidatta, Patita Pavana, His Divine Grace, Abhacharvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ji Ki Jai, Shri Gauriya Guru Varga Patitu Udhari Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Guna Sat Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ji Ki Jai, Jayananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai, Premisi Kohosi Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Param Dayal Se Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Jai Premanama Sankirtan Eka Janaka, Prema Purushottama Shri Sachinandan, Shriman Gauranga Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Gaura Hari, Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Golokera Pramadhan, Harinam Sankirtan Jagya Ki Jai, Jugadharma Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai, Brihatnidanga Transcendental Book Distribution Seva Ki Jai, Shishya Radha, Krishna, Gopukutna Radha Kun, Samakun, Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Brajabim Vrindavan Mathurudam Ki Jai, Dear Lordship Shri Radha Nilamadhava Ki Jai, Shri Maya Purnavadip Eka Chakradam Ki Jai, Parama Karuna Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai, Shri Purushottama Kitra Jagannath Puridham Ki Jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Swami Baladev Prabhu Smasudra Devi Sudarshan Chakra Bhagavan Ki Jai, Bhakti Sarva Vigna Vinashana Kanushingare Bhagavan Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Maharani Vrindi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Bolo Shri Mati Radharani Ki Jai, Shamavita Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai Nitai, Gura Di Pramanandi Haribo, all glories to the assembly bodies, all glories to the assembly bodies, all glories to the assembly bodies, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Haribo.
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय
नमस्ते
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय
प्रहलाद लाददायिने हिरण्यकशिपोर्वक्षः
हिरण्यकशिपुवक्षः
शीलटङ्कानकालाय
शिलाटङ्कनकलाय
इतो नरसिंहो परतो नरसिंहो
ईतो निसिंह
यतो यतो यमिततो नरसिंहो
जत जत जामि तत निसिंह
बहिर्नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंहो
निसिंह हृदये निसिंह
नरसिंहादिं शरणं प्रपदे
नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे
तव करकमलवरे नाकाम् अद्भुत श्रृंगां दलित हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गां केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
अवकर कमलवरे नाकाम्
अद्भुत श्रृंगां दलित हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गां केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
जय केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय प्रहलाद महाराज हो जय जगन्नाथा जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रमा जय सुदर्शन चक्र जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान
सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान
निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद
जय
प्रभुपाद। जय श्री विघ्नहर्ता नरसिंहदेव भगवान की,
जय।
भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
श्री वृंदाई तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय के सब सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रादि देवी सत्तवताय नमो नमः। वृंदाई तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय के सब सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रादि देवी सत्तवताय नमो नमः। वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय के सब सत्य कृष्ण भक्ति प्रादि देवी सत्तवताय नमो नमः। जय श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की।
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः।
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 राधा कृष्ण सेवा पाबो
कृष्ण सेवा पावो हे अभिलाषी।
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पाबो हे अभिलाषी।
राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो हे
जे तुम्हारा शरण लोय तारा वंश पूर्ण होय।
जे तुम्हारा शरण लोय तारा वंश पूर्ण।
कृपा कोरी करो तारे वृंदावन वासी।
तुम्हें कृपा कोरी करो तारे वृंदावन वासी।
मोरा ये अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो वास।
मोरा ये अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो वास।
नाय युगल रूप राशि
Aminayane Riva Sada Jugala Ruparasi
एनी विधान दारो सखी अनुगाता कोरो
Ene Vedanadhara Sakirayano Gatakara
सेवाधिकारा दिए करो निज दासी
Sevayare Kara Diye Karo Nijadasi
दीन कृष्ण दास को ये नमुरा
Dina Krishna Das Kae Namara
श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदा ये नवासी
Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sadaye Navasi
श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदा ये नवासी
Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sadaye Navasi
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः
Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namah
यानि कानि च पापानि प्रमाद्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्राणशन्ति तदर्शिन पदे पदे
Kani Kani Sapapani Brahmahatari Kani Sa Tani Tani Prana Santi Pradachina Pade Pade
यानि कानि च पापानि प्रमाद्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्राणशन्ति प्रदर्शेन पदे पदे
Kani Kani Sapapani Brahmahatari Kani Sa Tani Tani Prana Santi Pradachina Pade Pade
यानि कानि च पापानि प्रमाद्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्राणशन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे
Jani Kani Sapapani Brahmahatari Kani Sa Tani Tani Prana Santi Pradachina Pade Pade
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्राणशन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे
Kani Kani Sapapani Brahmahatari Kani Sa Tani Tani Prana Santi Pradachina Pade Pade
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्राणशन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे
Kani Kani Sapapani Brahmatari Kani Sa Tani Tani Prana Santi Pradachina Pade Pade
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani.
Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani.
Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi.
Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari. Shri Vrindai Tulasi Mai Priya Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Pradi Devi Sattvatai Namo Namaha. Vrindai Tulasi Mai Priya Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Pradi Devi Sattvatai Namo Namaha. Vrindayai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Shatavatai Namo Namaha. Jai Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Whoever takes shelter of you as wishes fulfilled, bestow your mercy upon him, you make him resident of Vrindavan. My desire is that you also grant me a residence in pleasure groves of Sri Vrindavan Dham. Thus, within my vision, I will always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower, carry damsels of Raj. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me unmet servant. Please make me fallen and lowly serving Krishna, please. May I always sing aloud Shri Radha and Govinda. Shri Mati Tulasi Maharani Brinda Devi Ki Jai. So there are 10 offenses in matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that should be avoided. They are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who dedicate their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider names of demigods, the Lord Shiva and Lord Brahman, to be equal to or independent of the name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. 8. To consider the chanting Hare Krishna is one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which often varies as fruitive activity, karma kanda. 9, to instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name. And 10, to not have complete faith in chanting the holy names and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas. Devotees of the Lord, they are just like desired trees. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Jai Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaivacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shikhastakam Ki Jai. Chaito Darpanamajanam Bhavamada Vagninivapanam Shiyakariva Chandika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Padipadam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatmasnam Paramparam Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Vaudha Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Niyamita Shmarane Nakala Ita Drishitava Kripaya Bhagavan Mamapi Durdhaivam Idishamiyajani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Saishuna Amani Namanadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam vajagari shakamaye mama janmani janmaneshwari bhavatar bhakti raituki tvai oinanda tanuja kinkaram patitamam visame bhavam buddho kripaya tava pada pankaja stita dhuli sadrisham vichintaya nayanam galarashtu dharaya Vadanam gada gada ruddhaya gira pulakaya chitam vapukada tavanama grahane bhavisyati jugaitam nimishena chakusha praversaitam sunyaitam jagata sarvam govinda viraye name aslishabha padaratam pinashtumam adarshanaar marmahatam karotuva Jatha tathava vidadhatulam pato matpranatastu saivana para Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Kristakam Ki Jai Namo Mahavarannaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurati Sharma Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devim Gaurvani Pracharine Nivrishesha Shunnavadi Pasyatyarishatarine. Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because its praise raises the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than straw in the street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord and Ishwari. And so, if he sandals me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me, he is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sikhyastakam Ki Jai. Gurvandan Mangala Charan. Om Magyana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakchurun Militam Jaina Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathavintam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Cha Nama Om Vishnu Padayo Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Devim Gauravani Pracharine Nivrishesha Sunavadi Patsatyari Satarine Nama Om Vishnu Padayo Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshavana Videvi Deitaya Kripabdvaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Nama Madhurjojala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravane Shri Murtaye Rinatarine Rupanuga Virudha Posidanta Dvantaharine Namagur Kishoraya Sakcha Veragya Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambhode Paramujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchit Anandanamine Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gora Virbhava Bhumestvam Nirdesha Sajana Priya Vaishnavo Sarvabhuma Sri Jagannathayate Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhyaivacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavaranayo Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnayo Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauritvishe Namaha Panchatattamakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataro Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanto Namastute Jayatam Suratupangur Mama Mandamatir Gatir Massarvaswas Parambo Radha Madana Mohano Divyarvindaranya Kalpadumadha Shmara Nagara Shingasanastu Shmaradha Shilagovinda Devo Prishtali Visheva Manushmarami Shman Rasara Sarambi Bamshvato Tatastitam Karshan Venu Swanar Gopir Gopinata Shri Stuna Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhi Vrindavanishwari Vrusabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Guru Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Guru Vranda Mangala Charan Ki Jai Hari Bo
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Guruvani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srimad Bhagavatam Grantaraj Ki Jai. So today we have homework for today, and let's see who did it. So Radhika Leela Devi Dasi did it. She's not here. And Swarit, you come and read. And Pankaj, or Padumna Prabhu. So. Oh, okay. All right, well, after he.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
So I did the qualities of Krishna and the examples, and I did the heart attacks and the cancer one.
And then the what?
The heart attack, what causes heart attack and cancer.
Okay. That was a special homework for you. Okay, go ahead.
So the qualities that Krishna has and where he used them in his life were strength. He lifted a
Well, in other
Govardhan.
words, these are qualities that no one else has, right?
Yeah. So strength. Krishna lifted Govardhan hill with his pinky finger.
You know anybody else that can do that?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if this is the right word, but power, because Krishna.
Power or strength? Oh, no, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because Krishna split himself into all the cows and cowherd boys after Lord Brahma kidnapped them.
Okay, so now that is unlimited expansions of himself.
Yeah.
Instead of power, it'd be unlimited expansions.
And then courage. Krishna went into the demon Aghasura's mouth just to save his friends from being eaten. Compassion. Krishna forgives Kaliya after he attacks Krishna and poisons the Yamuna.
Yeah, Kaliya is misspelled, but okay, go ahead.
Krishna is generous because Krishna accepts Sudama's offering even though he has everything in his kingdom. He has knowledge because Krishna explained the entire Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna on the battlefield in less than an hour. He's the heavier than heaviest, because when Trinavarta, the demon, kidnapped baby Krishna, he became so heavy that Trinavarta could no longer bear his weight and crashed into the ground and died.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the richest because Krishna owned 16,108 palaces and donated, I don't know how to say this number, 210,273,832 cows every day to the Brahmanas.
That's a lot of cows. That's a lot of poop.
And that's all I wrote, Maharaj.
Wasn't there skillful also? Krishna can use any weapon to its full power and master it.
Oh, I said that?
You did? Okay.
Oh, I changed some things from
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Now, Tulsi. Is it Tulsi? Or where is she? Wait a minute. This is an equal opportunity microphone. You stay over there. You don't have to come here.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I did the homework for the examples
list examples of Krishna's unique qualities.
Okay.
So I did the 8 siddhis. These are Anima, Mahima, Garima, Lagima, Prapti, Prakamya, Ishita, and Vashitva. Some of them I didn't have examples for, so
Go ahead.
so for Anima, Anima is the power of being able to reduce their size. So I thought of the story when after Mahabharata, Krishna reduced his size to save Parikshit from Uttara's womb. And
Okay, repeat that one more time.
okay, so Krishna reduced his size to
Okay.
go into Mother Uttara's womb to save Parikshit. And so the second one is Mahima, and that's the power of being able to increase your size, like Vamana. So Lord Vamana became so gigantic that it took him only 3 steps to cover all the 3 worlds.
Good.
Garima is the power of being heavy. So you can see that when Krishna was killing Trinavarta, he used that power to kind of
Make him fall down.
make him fall down. Lagima is the power of being able to make your body so light that it can lift in the air. I didn't really find any examples for that. And Prapti is the power of traveling wherever you want. And I thought of Narad Muni. He has a power of going wherever he wants, anywhere. And Prakamya is the power of being able to get whatever you want. I also didn't think of an example for this. Ishitva is the power of being the Lord, which includes being able to create and destroy the creation at your will. So Lord Krishna has this power because by his will only this material world is created and annihilated. And Vashita is the power of being able to control someone's mind. And I didn't get a example for that. And I also did Lord Krishna's 8 gunas or kalas. So the first one is Daya, which means compassion. And I thought in Damodar Leela, Krishna showed compassion to Mother Yashoda by letting her tie him to the motor. And the second one, Darya, is patience, and Krishna is patiently waiting for all the devotees in the material world to come back to him. This one was a little hard for me because I didn't really think of anything else.
Well, it was hard for you because what?
Because it wasn't really like a story, so
You mean the second one, Darya?
yeah,
The
Yeah.
example?
yeah,
Well, Krishna's waiting a long time for everyone to come back to Godhead.
yeah.
It means he's very patient. Go ahead.
The third one is Shama, which means forgiveness, and this is shown in Govardhan Leela. He forgave Indra even though Indra tried to destroy Vrindavan. Nyaya means justice. I have 2 examples for this. Krishna gave justice to Vasudeva and Devaki by killing Kamsa, and another one is Narsimhadev gave justice to Prahlad by killing Hiranyakashipu. The 5th one is Nirapeksha, which means impartiality. And there's the story when both Arjuna and Duryodhana come to Krishna before Mahabharata for his help, and he showed impartiality by giving them both options, even though Duryodhana is very sinful. Nirakshata means detachment, and Lord Chaitanya took renunciation at a very young age, so this shows that he was detached from material life. Tapasya means meditation, and it's mentioned in Krishna book. The chapter is daily activities of Krishna, and it says that every day he meditates on himself. The 8th one, Aparijita, is invincibility, and Krishna won the fight between him and Jambavan that chose invincibility. And there's many more fights or stuff that Krishna won, but this is the one that I just spoke down.
Okay, well, you did very well. One example of Lagima is Krishna and Balaram jumped off the mountain and they floated down, so that proves that they were lighter than the lightest, and also they can fly through the air if they want to. So And then what else you didn't have a example for? Oh yeah, prakamya is the power of being able to get whatever you want. Well, Krishna wanted Yudhisthira to be the king and not Duryodhana. So he got that by organizing the Battle of Kurukshetra and the success of the Pandavas. And what was the other one? Vashitva is the power of being able to control someone's mind. Well, Krishna can do that, but what is an example of it? He controls his own mind by not getting affected by whatever happens in the world, either good or bad. And he taught Arjuna how to control his mind also. Okay, so then let's see, son. What's your name? Samyukta. You did your homework, right? Yeah, you have it.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So the homework I did was list all the unique qualities of Krishna described in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, 6th chapter, 22nd verse.
Yes.
So I listed them in points. The first one is all the universes, as well as the universal form with material elements, qualities, and senses, all originate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Very good.
He is aloof from these material manifestations, just as the sun remains separate from the heat and rays.
Yeah, the sun doesn't get burned by its heats and rays. Go ahead.
He is known as Ishvara, or the Supreme Controller. Ekapad Vibhuti is a manifestation of material energy of the Lord. He is not so much attracted to this or any other material manifestation. However, with Tripad Vibhuti is a pure spiritual manifestation of the Lord's energy, so this is more attractive to him.
Yeah, so when the Ekapad Vibhuti is described as Bina Pakriti, Bina means separated. So Krishna is not so interested in this inferior material energy or separated material energy. But he will sometimes come down into it, meaning the material world, to help the jivas come back to him. But he spends all his time in the Tripad, or the spiritual world, Tripad Vibhuti, the spiritual world. That's where he spends all his time. Go ahead.
Yes, the spiritual manifestation is more attractive to the Lord.
Yes.
Yeah. He generates material manifestations by impregnating material energy. Then within the manifestation, he expands into the wondrous form of Vishvarupa. The Lord expands himself similar to the sun. The sun expands itself by heat and rays, yet the sun always remains unaffected from said heat and rays. The sun's rays are always secondary to the sun. Similarly, the impersonal gigantic form of the Lord is also secondary to the personal form as Purushottama. In Brahma Samhita, it is said, I forgot the verse number, I think it was 537, yes. In Brahma Samhita 537, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who enlivens the senses by his personal bodily rays, lives in Goloka. Yet he is present everywhere in his creation by expansions of innumerable spiritual rays, equal in power to his personal potency of bliss.
Very good.
He is at the same time both impersonal and personal by his inconceivable potency. And then last, he is separated from everything and nothing remains different from him.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, so at the same time, he's both impersonal and personal. Well, that's very good to know, because if you look at the 7th chapter, verse number 8. Let's see what it says. 7th chapter, verse number 8. Rasoham apsikonte prabhasvi sasi suraya. Pranava sarvavedesu sabde ke purusham nishu. It says, O son of Kunti, I'm the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and ability in man. So these are ways to see Krishna in the material world by seeing his energy working. So it says here, the impersonalist perceives the presence of the Lord in water by its taste. And the personalist also glorifies the Lord for his kindly supplying tasty water to quench man's thirst. That is the way of perceiving the Spirit is supreme. Practically speaking, there's no conflict between personalism and impersonalism. One who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and personal conception are simultaneously present in everything, and that there is no contradiction. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya established this sublime doctrine, Achintya, Beda, and Abeda Tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. So this we have to understand, especially by the statement, that the impersonal conception and personal conception are simultaneously present in everything, and that there is no contradiction. So the Mayavadis, they make a contradiction. They say, no, it can't be personal and impersonal. It's only impersonal, right? So they got it wrong. But Lord Chaitanya got it right. Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva. The Supreme Absolute Truth is simultaneously and inconceivably one and different. We have to understand that this is present everywhere in the material universe and even in the spiritual universe. Like, for example, Krishna is simultaneously in his two-armed form and also in his four-armed form as Narayana in the spiritual world. So, and there's billions and trillions of Narayana forms in the spiritual world, but there's only one original form of Krishna. So this is simultaneously and inconceivably one and different. We have to understand this exists in the spiritual world and exists in the material world as well. Okay, and then again, in the second canto, the verse that you did today, and you correctly noted that one of the unique qualities is the following. It says, oh, by the way, I'm going to read again the translation of 537. I think you missed one word in that translation. It says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, the one who enlivens the senses of everyone by his personal bodily rays, resides in his transcendental abode called Goloka. Yet he is present in every nook and corner of his creation by expansion of happy spiritual rays. You didn't have that in your happy. It's very important. Happy spiritual rays. I'll talk more about that now. Equal in power to his personal potency of bliss. Okay, now what is he talking about? Expansion of happy spiritual rays. Well, he's talking about the Brahmajyoti. Now, right now, if you go outside, it's like dark, it's cold, it's raining, sometimes it's snowing. But if this was spring, first of all, it wouldn't be dark right now, it would be light, right? And if you go out it wouldn't be cold and rainy and snowing. It'd be warm. And it would be light. And it would make you feel happy, right? That's why he says, happy spiritual rays, equal in power to his personal potency of bliss. Well, that's a major statement. In other words, you feel somewhat blissful and energetic when the weather is really nice, right? Because it's warm, there's plenty of light, you can see everything, and you feel energized. You know, more people are jogging, more people are playing soccer or cricket or baseball, and there's many outside activities, and there's picnics and so many things happening. And of course there's Ananda Mela. So you see how this description where he says, yet he is present in every nook and corner of his creation, meaning the material world, because the spiritual world does not have to be created, it's eternal, right? By expansion of happy spiritual rays. So, do you feel happy when the weather is nice and sunny and light, and there's picnics and festivals? Of course, you see. So that's why he describes it. And you left that word out. That was the most important word in the translation. And this is a special translation of this verse. There are at least 4 or more translations of this verse. This is an alternate translation. It gives a deeper understanding of what this verse means. So, okay, so then it says, he is therefore simultaneously personal and impersonal by his inconceivable potency, or he is the one without a second, displaying complete unity in a diversity of material and spiritual manifestations. That's a huge statement, a very huge statement. And it's often used, this type of statement. It says, unity in diversity. Unity in diversity. Not unity in perversity, but unity in diversity. So that is what Prabhupada has spoken about, how ISKCON should demonstrate unity in diversity. That means that you may not, let's say you are a plumber and I am an electrician. Well, if we both use our special qualities, I'm an electrician, you're a plumber, in the service of Krishna, that's unity in diversity. Because I have you would say, knowledge that you don't have, and you have some knowledge that I don't have. But when we use both of these assets that we have in the service of Krishna, now there's unity and diversity. See? So it's a major theme that ISKCON, like for example, you have people in ISKCON that are white and black and big and small and rich and poor and one ethnicity or another ethnicity, but we're all using our talents in the service of Krishna. That means there's unity and diversity. We don't say, oh, those Ukrainians, they can't be Krishna conscious. We Russians are much better devoted. No, we don't say that. We're looking equally. The Ukrainians are devotees, the Russians are devotees, blacks are devotees, the whites are devotees, the Chinese are devotees, the Mongolians are devotees. There's unity in diversity, right? As long as we use all our talents and our proclivities in the service of Krishna. So that's a big, big theme. And that shows the difference between a what you would call myopic or racist religion and an all-encompassing religion. An all-encompassing religion will have unity and diversity. A racist religion will only be dealing with one race or ethnicity, with the exclusion of others. Like, for example, you have the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Then you have the Russian Orthodox Church. And you have the Greek Orthodox Church. So there's an element of racism in those epithets or names, right? Because the Greek Orthodox Church, well, it sounds like it's only for Greek people, right? Although they are a little bit liberal. They actually take other people into their church, but some of these churches, like you have the you have the Sunnis, and you have the other ones. I forget their name. Or you have the Wahhabis. You have the Sunnis. You have the followers of Hazrat Ali, the Alawis. So those are basically racist types of spiritual movements or spiritual organizations. So when you have the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, there is no racism involved. Everybody can join. And Prabhupada says that. Mam chayovi bicharina bhakti yogi. No, he says in the the 9th chapter, where he says, one second. Yeah. Mamhi partavya pasrita yepisu papayonaha striya vaisas tatas Siya vaisas tata sudras tepiyanti paramgatim. O Sanaprita, those who take shelter of me, though they be of lower birth, like fallen women, Vaishyas or merchants, and Sudras or workers, can attain the supreme destination. So that verse includes everybody. Not only the Brahmanas, but also the Sudras, even less than Sudras, and business people, and fallen women, and so forth. So it's no exclusion. So that is unity in diversity based on unified service for Krishna. That brings everyone together. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about that unity and diversity. So is it done, over? Did you read everything? Thank you very much. All right, who else now? Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj,
Okay.
I did the same homework, Srimad Bhagavatam 2.6.22.
Yes.
Very similar points. Should I read it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
all the planetary systems comes from Lord Krishna. He has different forms like Ekapada Vibhuti, manifestation of the material energy of the Lord, is just like one of the main mistresses of the Lord. Tripad Vibhuti, a pure form of spiritual manifestation of the energy of the Lord. When I read the example of the material manifestation by impregnating the material energy, somehow it resembles, can we call Krishna Karta Karma Kriya? Like he's the doer, he's the result, and he's the action?
Well, okay, ask your question again.
Can we call Krishna the Karta Karma?
I understand that. What did you say before that?
So when I was reading the material manifestation, he generates the material manifestations
Yes.
by impregnating the material energy, and in that manifestation he expands himself as the gigantic form of the Vishwarupa, and within that he is the transcendental form who is Purushottama or Krishna himself.
Okay, then now the next thing, the question.
Can we call Krishna the Karta, Karma and Kriya?
Karta means the doer.
The doer, Karma is result, and the Kriya is action.
Yes. I mean, he is the primary quality of everything. Let's put it like that. He's the primary quality of everything. If you look at a stone, you say, well, the primary quality of stone is, let's weigh it. Okay, it's 2 tons. Okay, let's look at its how much mass it has. Okay, well, it is a very very concentrated mass, right? So it has so much, and it takes up so much space, and so these would be considered primary qualities according to mundane knowledge, but that's not a fact. The primary quality is Krishna is present in every atom of that gigantic stone, right? So he is the primary quality, right? Now they don't see like that. The scientists don't see like that. They say, no, it's only what you can measure as primary quality. So as long as you have that myopic vision of things, you make a mistake. You don't really understand what it is. But if you understand that Krishna is the primary quality of everything, then you have a real understanding of things. So if I say, well, the primary quality of this person is they're white and they believe in Christianity and they have a 401k, and I go through all those different so-called qualities of that person. Would that be the primary quality of that person? No. It's just describing his body. It has nothing to do with who that person actually is. That person is an eternal soul and has an eternal relationship with Krishna. And also Krishna is present in the heart of that person. So the primary quality of that person is ultimately Krishna and his or her individual soul. So you see, there's a big difference in the way materialistic scientists look at things and devotees look at things. And because of that difference, in this world, there is prejudice, there's love and hate. In other words, there's duality all the time in everything. Whereas in Krishna consciousness, there is unity in diversity, right? So that's a major difference of how the materialists look at things and how the devotees look at things. Okay, go ahead.
And from the Brahma Samhita 5.37, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda is present in every nook and corner of his creation by expanding happy spiritual rays equal in power to his personal potency of bliss.
Okay, when it says equal in power to his personal, what's it say?
Potency.
Potency of bliss. So his potency of bliss is called Hladini Shakti. And so there are these 3 Shaktis. There's the Samvit, which is knowledge, or has all knowledge. And then Hladini is all bliss. And he also has eternity. So he's saying here, Prabhupada is saying here that he is therefore simultaneously personal and impersonal by his inconceivable potency, meaning inconceivable powers, and he is one without a second. No one is equal to or greater than Krishna. Everyone is subordinate to Krishna. And displaying complete unity in a diversity of material and spiritual manifestations. So everything material and spiritual you're always going to have the impersonal concept and the personal concept. And then he says, displaying complete unity and diversity and spiritual manifestation. So let's see, wait a minute. Okay, I'm sorry. So, and is equal in power, and so his happy spiritual rays, meaning the Brahma Jyoti, is equal in power to his personal potency of bliss. Okay, so that means that when you achieve Brahman realization, not like the Mayavadis do, but as genuine impersonalists do, you feel very, very happy because there's no more suffering. And there's a possibility of going even further to Paramatma and then Bhagavan. So just like today, if you become, let's say, a team leader in Amazon, well, you feel happy because you have people working under you. But then, over time, you become a VP in Amazon. Oh, now you feel even happier because you're making a lot more money and you have a lot more people. And then you become one of the primary VPs of Microsoft. Now that you could have up to 10,000 people working under you. Mm-hmm. And instead of just making $5 million a year, you're making $40-50 million a year. So you feel even happier, right? Of course, I know someone that achieved that position and ruined his health. He had a heart attack, and he resigned. But by that time, he had so much money. He started making money by being a capitalist, meaning loaning money to people and making interest. But anyway, it almost killed him with all that responsibility, right? But anyway, the idea is as you come closer to Krishna, there's more and more feelings of ecstasy, right? So therefore it says here that, he says that, yet he is present in every nook and corner of his creation by expansion of happy spiritual rays equal in power to his personal potency of bliss. So that is called progressive Krishna consciousness. You have higher and higher bliss. The more you are engaged in devotional service, the more you become purified by hearing and chanting and actual engagement in devotional service. So the bliss just keeps getting better and better. Okay, so any more?
That's all.
Okay, thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Okay, anybody? So who else? There was some other. Okay, and then who else? Mataji also. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I think everybody covered most of the things.
That's all right.
I'll just focus on one thing. There is they talk in that verse. They talk about the supreme personal form. His supreme personal form, Krishna, has 2 hands and a flute. It is bewildering for the impersonalists. They can only accommodate the gigantic Vishwarupa form of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
The impersonalists take into consideration the rays of the Lord without any information of the tangible, transcendental, eternal form of the Lord known as Krishna. And the last point was, the rays of the sun are secondary to the sun. And similarly, the impersonal gigantic form of the Lord is also secondary to the personal form as Purushottama.
Right, everything is coming from Krishna's Purushottama. Purusha means the enjoyer. Uttama, the greatest, the most, let's say, prominent enjoyer, that's Krishna. So, but if you engage in pleasing the Lord, you also will be a partner in that unending transcendental bliss of the Lord. Same. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else did homework? He did homework? No. Okay. Yes? No? No. Okay. Oh yeah, Babaji did homework. Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. I
Yes.
think, yeah, because everybody has, but I'll just repeat it again. But I also missed that point, like happy spiritual rays in my list.
That's why we're having you read what you do. What
Okay.
you did.
So the homework was list out Krishna's special qualities in the verse 2.6.22. Krishna's special qualities. Krishna is Purushottam, the supreme person. Krishna is Ishvara, the supreme controller. He is original cause of Ekpad Vibhuti material world, and Tripad Vibhuti, spiritual world. As per Brahma Samhita 5.37, he exhibits Achintya Bheda Abheda, inconceivable oneness and difference. He is Govinda, the one who enlives the senses of everyone by his personal bodily rays. And here Prabhupada gives the example of sun and his sun rays. He resides in his transcendental abode called Goloka. Yet he is present in every nook and corner of his creation by his expansion. He is simultaneously personal and impersonal by his inconceivable potency. He is the one without a second, displaying complete unity in a diversity of material and spiritual manifestations. He is separate from everything, and still nothing is different from him. So these are, that's it.
Very good. So these are unique qualities of Krishna. No one else can equal them. All right. So today we're going to focus on one major point. And so this is something that I wrote. It's called A Revolution in the Lives of the Impious. And it says, the most perplexing question in the lives of believers and non-believers is, why does suffering and evil exist in this world? If there is a God, and he is all good, and his creation is perfect, then why is there evil in this world? How can a good, all-perfect God permit evil? This question has perplexed many generations of mankind. Atheists use this question to prove that an all-benevolent God does not exist. It is because of the undeniable fact that evil does exist in this world that this question is relevant today as it was in the past. In modern times, since the beginning of the Iron Age, approximately 5,000 plus years ago, to the present, every attempt at creating an ideal society has failed, although before the present age of hypocrisy and quarrel, there were ideal societies. At present, we are witnessing the demise of the great American experiment in representative democracy. In this short but comprehensive book, I shall explain why the United States of America will fail to keep its citizens fulfilled in their quest for peace and happiness. There is no doubt that the USA will fall apart, as have many previous great nations, unless there is a revolution in the lives of the impious. The real revolution is purification of the desire to dominate and control the material nature for the satisfaction of one's lusty desires. This is possible by accepting the instructions of Lord Sri Krishna, or God, as given in the Bhagavad Gita. A great awakening of the mass of people is necessary to bring about the revolution of goodness supported by a lifestyle dedicated to the service of Lord Krishna, based on the knowledge communicated in the ancient Vedic literature, that is, Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. These two scriptures predate the Jewish, Christian, Buddhist, Islamic, and other modern scriptures. They include detailed explanations about the 5 major themes that spiritual scriptures expound, that is, 1, who is God and his unparalleled attributes, and his abode and opulences. 2, who are the living entities, especially human beings? 3, what is time? 4, what is the material nature? And 5, what is the human being's occupational duties leading to complete emancipation? These are the 5 most essential teachings of any bona fide scripture. Without the precise knowledge of the 2 Vedic scriptures mentioned above, The general mass of people will not be able to comprehensively follow the principles of Scripture, regardless of their religious affiliation. The goal of all bona fide religions is to attain liberation from the cycle of birth and death and re-entry into the eternal life of association with Lord Krishna in the spiritual abode in the company of other eternally liberated souls. Next paragraph. The curse of misinformation, half-truths, and lies. We are living in a world today of misinformation, half-truths, and lies disseminated by weapons of mass distraction such as television, internet, cell phones, movies, schools and universities, video games, etc., etc. The educational institutions from kindergarten to graduate school are based on atheistic humanism, which rejects belief in God and relies solely on science, reason, and logic to determine the truth. These institutions of atheistic knowledge are slaughterhouses purposely giving false information to program people to be condemned to the cycle of birth and death. Modern education and politicians harp on identity politics, purposely dividing people into groups based on false bodily identifications such as race, gender, nationality, ethnicity, sexual orientation, politics, etc. All of these identifications are superficial and do not pertain to the soul of the living entity, which is part and parcel of Lord Krishna. The Lord confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita. The living entities in this conditioned world are my fragmental parts. Bhagavad Gita 15.7. This means that all living entities are eternally individual souls that have emanated or expanded from Lord Krishna, who is the supreme individual father of everyone, an original source of everything. Because the Lord is an eternal individual, his parts and parcels, or minute souls, are also eternal individuals. The Lord is infinitely great in every aspect, and the individual soul is infinitely small in every aspect. Both are qualitatively one, but quantitatively different, just like the gold in a gold ring and the gold in the gold mine are qualitatively one, but quantitatively different. The living entities who have emanated from the Lord are his parts and parcels. The word parcel implies that all living entities are unique individuals eternally and share many of the same qualities as the Lord, but they are never equal or greater than the Lord. The material body is only a temporary covering of the eternal individual soul. The real person is the eternal soul. When the soul leaves the temporary body, we say he or she is gone. Yet the body lies silent, inanimate, and without consciousness. This is proof that the real person is the soul, which is the source of consciousness and the energy that animates the body. The animate body with consciousness acts like a material machine. The difference is a machine can continue to function if the used and broken parts are replaced. However, the body cannot remain indefinitely alive by replacing its parts, nor can the body be revived after it dies by replacing its organs or injecting chemicals that might be missing after death. The soul is the real source of energy and vitality that makes the material body seem alive and conscious. When the soul leaves the body, it is impossible to revive it. It may be possible to temporarily replace organs, but it is impossible to avoid death of the material body by such techniques. According to Vedic knowledge, the soul is an eternal person who emanates from Lord Krishna, the Supreme Person, and therefore is never born and never dies. Only the temporary body is subject to birth and death. The individual soul is endowed with limited free will to either accept or reject Lord Krishna's instructions. By acceptance and following the Lord's instructions, one can live eternally in the spiritual world in the company of the Lord. By rejection of the Lord's instructions, and the living entity is placed in the material world, enveloped by different material bodies dependent on one's karma, action and reaction to activities. Next paragraph. According to the Vedas, there are 8,400,000 different species. There are 900,000 species living in the water. There are 2 million non-moving living entities such as trees and plants. There are 1,100,000 species of insects and reptiles, and 1 million species of birds. As far as quadrupeds are concerned, that means mammals, there are 3 million varieties, and there are 400,000 human species. This is from Padma Purana. The biologist's understanding of species is different than the Vedic viewpoint expressed in the Padma Purana. Biologists determine species by gross physical appearance or forms of living entities. The Vedic understanding is based on the different levels of consciousness of the living beings. The biologists consider all human beings as one species. The Padma Purana lists 400,000 species of human beings. Another difference is that the Vedas classify species that exist in the entire universe, whereas the biologists are limited to only species they have identified on the Earth planet. The mundane scientists have not discovered as yet that every planet in the universe has living entities. Due to faulty speculations on the part of modern researchers such as Darwin and his followers and their fanatical persistence, the theory of evolution of species has become accepted by mediocre academics and taught in schools all over the world. This erroneous theory purports that by chance, all the different species have evolved over a very long period from one-cell living entities to the incredibly complex human beings. How the one-cell living entity came into existence is still a mystery. Such purported evolution is only pertaining to bodily forms evolving over a very long period of time and progressing by random trial and error without any intelligent person orchestrating such complicated changes. Modern evolutionists have added random genetic mutation to Darwin's theory of evolution. There is no solid evidence proving without a doubt any of these claims. There are many theories with sketchy evidences trying to prove how one species may have evolved into another over time. What is certain is that everything we observe that is produced by human creativity is intelligence-driven. All the inventions of the scientists that have made life seem easier have been created by intelligent human beings and not by random permutations and combinations of nature. All the experimental trials and errors have been performed by intelligent human beings. All the maintenance of mechanical machines and the inventions of digital technology produced by human ingenuity are serviced and repaired by intelligent human beings. In fact, object-oriented programming, a creative process undertaken by computer experts, attempts to eliminate human error in the pursuit of making a computer program with 3,000 or more functions, all working in sync. When human beings create something, it is completely intelligence-driven. How is it possible that the creative process that has taken place in nature, which is hundreds and millions of times more complicated than any invention of mankind, happened by chance without an intelligent person driving it? This is an irrational theory that defies human reasoning and is an insult to human intelligence. Darwin wrote a letter in December 22, 1857 to A.R. Wallace saying, "I am a firm believer that without speculation, there is no good in original observation." End of quote. Darwin's speculation was faulty guessing based on imperfect and limited observation because of the 4 fundamental defects of every living being: mistakes, illusion, imperfect senses, and a cheating propensity. The cheating propensity is speculation by a person who has imperfect and limited senses of observation: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, mind, and intelligence, the knowledge-acquiring senses. The following is Darwin's explanation of how he derived his theory of evolution of species. When aboard, quote, when aboard the HMS, His Majesty's ship, Beagle, as a naturalist, I was much struck with certain facts in the distribution of the organic beings inhabiting South America, and in the geological relations of the present to the past inhabitants of that continent. These facts seem to throw some light, okay, seemed to throw some light on the origin of species, that mystery of mysteries. On my return home, it occurred to me in 1837 that something might perhaps be made out of this question. Something might perhaps be made out of this question. By patiently accumulating and reflecting on all sorts of facts that could possibly have, all these are speculative terms, right? Could possibly have any bearing on it. After 5 years' work, I allowed myself to speculate on the subject and drew up some short notes. These I enlarged in 1844 into a sketch of the conclusions, which seemed to be probable. From that period on to the present, I have steadily pursued the same conclusion, that species had not been independently created, meaning not made by God. Right? Notice he doesn't mention God, but let's call it the elliptical phrase. He says, not been independently created, but had descended like varieties from other sources, meaning not from God. This is Charles Darwin, The Origin of Species, in the New York Appleton and Company edition, 1883, pages 1 and 2. Okay. So now I continue. I have underlined all the phrases that indicate that Darwin was speculating to arrive at a theory that lacked any substantive proof, any real proof. He cleverly rejected the possibility that God, an all-knowing God, could have independently created the varieties of species. In our human experience, all inventions and new technologies have been authored by specific individuals. All Nobel Prizes for scientific accomplishments are given to individuals and not to non-entities that create by some random process with no intelligent supervision. The irrational disconnect between modern atheistic scientists and the self-evident a priori truth, such as all inventions of mankind are intelligence driven by individuals, should convince all clear thinkers to reject the drivel emanating from the academic hoaxsters. All the research done by modern naturalists following Darwin are no more than studies resulting in speculative theories that are often challenged by other naturalists who point out inconsistencies in the research. So when the word naturalist is used, it's used by the modern scientists. It means that they only deal with nature. They don't deal with spiritual things, right? So it sounds nice, you're a naturalist, scientist, right? But that's called a misleading euphemism, a sweet-sounding thing that actually is not true, right? Yet Darwin's theory of origin of species is taught to children as if it is solid science. This is a gigantic hoax that is presented as the truth. The scientific revolution, which began in the 16th century and accelerated with the Enlightenment period during the 17th century, has continued until today. Scientific research opposed to religious belief, scientific research opposed to religious belief by proving the earth rotates around the sun instead of the Catholic Church belief that the sun rotates around the earth. So this happened in the 14th, 15th, 16th century, where Copernicus and then Galileo proved without any doubt that the Catholic Church had it wrong. The Catholic Church said that the sun revolves around the earth and the earth is the center of the universe. But they proved that that's wrong, completely wrong, that the earth is revolving around the sun. Okay? So from that point on, people started to lose faith in church dogmas. Church dogma has nothing to do with a dog. Dogma means some arbitrary idea that's presented as the truth, and if you argue against it, you could eventually be put in jail or killed, which is what the Catholic Church did for some time, for people who denied that the sun goes around the earth rather than the earth goes around the sun. They put Galileo in church, in prison, and finally he had to admit, oh no, they were right. But after that, everybody realized that Galileo and Copernicus was right and the church was wrong. The enhanced understanding of the natural world by scientists' discoveries of certain patterns in nature pointed to the orderly functioning of nature. There is undeniable organization and regularity in nature. Without the orderly functioning of nature, there would be no question of science and predictability. There would be unbearable chaos. On the contrary, scientists have discovered laws that govern the functions of nature. A few examples follow. 1. The earth spins around its axis, just as a top spins around its spindle. This spinning movement is called Earth's rotation. The Earth rotates once every 23 hours and 56 minutes and 4.09053 seconds, called the sidereal period, and its circumference is roughly 24,901.451 miles. Thus, the surface of the Earth at the equator moves at a speed of 0.285831 miles per second, or roughly 1,000 miles per hour. At the same time that the Earth spins on its axis, it also orbits or revolves around the sun. This movement is called revolution. The Earth is moving about our sun in a very nearly circular orbit. It covers this route at a speed of nearly 30 kilometers per second, or 67,000 miles per hour. The sun and our whole solar system orbits around the center of the Milky Way galaxy. We are moving at an average velocity of 514,495.347 miles per hour. But even at that high rate, it still takes about 230 million years for the sun and our entire solar universe to make one complete orbit around the Milky Way. How is it possible that such gigantic bodies like the Earth, the sun, and the solar system move at such speeds with precise predictability? This undeniable precision at amazing speeds of the gigantic planets and the sun has been maintained consistently for millions of years and continues today and in the future. It is irrational to think that this happened by accident and is going on by accident. Number 2, another fascinating phenomenon is the reason why seasons change on the Earth. It is due to this Earth's axis being tilted in the same direction. Since the tilt of the Earth as it rotates around the sun is always the same, at different times of the Earth's rotation, the northern hemisphere is closer to the sun, and the southern hemisphere is farther away from the sun. Therefore, it is summer in the northern hemisphere and winter in the southern hemisphere. At other times in the rotation of the Earth, it is the opposite. Please look at the following diagram. Okay. So now, this is a picture that shows why there are changing natures due to the fact that the Earth has not a perpendicular but a slanted, let's say, axis around which it's rotating, and it's also rotating around the sun. So what happens? So, okay, so this one shows the axis of the Earth when it is winter. So it's on this side of the sun, right? And it's like this. So at that point, the southern part of the Earth is summer. I'm sorry, the northern, let's see, winter south of the, yeah, so the southern part is farther away, so it's winter there, and the northern part is closer, so it's summer here. Okay? So now when it comes to this point, it is spring or fall, right? Because it's not completely perpendicular, but almost perpendicular, right, in its orbit. Now, when it comes over here, now we see that the northern hemisphere is away, so it's winter, and the southern hemisphere is closer, so it's summer. So this is amazing. It says, this arrangement is brilliant, and it has been consistently sustained for millions of years and seemingly will continue indefinitely. A rational person will ask, who has established and is maintaining this incredible and complex arrangement? A rational thinker can begin with the known to understand the unknown. This principle of logic can be understood in another way. One may understand the universal phenomena by careful study of oneself. As well as great accomplishments of human beings. Okay. Now, what does this mean? We know that the Soviet Union and the USA have been able to launch satellites that orbit the Earth. A satellite is an object in space that orbits or circles around a bigger object. There are two kinds of satellites: natural satellites, such as the moon orbiting Earth, or artificial satellites, such as the International Space Station orbiting the Earth. The launching of an artificial satellite into space required the collaboration of thousands of people like scientists, engineers, politicians, workers, etc. In the Soviet Union, work on the first Sputnik satellite was divided among the following institutions. 1. The USSR, or the Soviet Academy of Science, was responsible for the general scientific leadership and the supply of research instruments. 2. The Ministry of the Defense Industry and its primary design bureau, the OKB-1, were assigned the task of building the satellite. 3. The Ministry of the Radio Technical Industry would develop the control system, radio technical instruments, and the telemetry system. Number 4, the Ministry of the Shipbuilding Industry developed the gyroscope devices. Number 5, the Ministry of the Machine Building developed ground launching, refueling, and transportation means. 6, the Ministry of the Defense was responsible for conducting the launches of the satellites. 7, the Soviet government approved the project, provided funding, and oversaw the coordination of the different ministries. All these agencies, with a large number of scientists, technicians, workers, etc., worked tirelessly for 5 years in order to put a 23-inch diameter sphere, mass of 184 pounds, Sputnik #1, an artificial satellite, into orbit for 3 months until January 4th, 1958, having completed 1,440 orbits of the Earth. If we compare this one tiny artificial satellite with the billions of stars, planets, and moons in the universe, which all have precise orbits maintained for millions of years, we can begin to understand that there is a supreme scientist with incalculable intelligence and power. So in other words, it took 5 years, all these different organizations with hundreds and thousands of people working on this project to put a 23-inch diameter Sputnik that only stayed in orbit for 3 weeks and then fell down out of its orbit. Now compare that to all the planets, all the moons on the planets, all the suns, that are rotating at fantastic speeds and have been in perfect orbits for millions of years, and they're going to continue, and they're predictable. Therefore, you know when there's going to be an eclipse of the sun, you know when the seasons are going to change. All these things are predictable, right? Because everything is staying in its orbit and according to laws of nature that were established by Krishna. The Sputnik had a power supply which consisted of 3 silver zinc batteries developed at the All Union Institute of Power Sources. 2 of these batteries powered the radio transmitter with 1 watt for 22 days, and 1 powered the temperature regulation system with 1 watt off and on for 22 days. The batteries had an expected lifetime of 2 weeks and operated for 22 days with a weight of 112 pounds. Let us compare the Sputnik power supply for the man-made artificial satellite to the power supply of the universe, the sun. The sun releases an estimated 384.6 iota. A iota has a factor of 10 followed by 24 zeros, watts of energy in the form of light and other forms of radiation. We are able to survive on Earth because the energy of the sun is spread over the area of a sphere with a radius of approximately 93 million miles. The dimension of the sun's energy supply, which according to the Vedas supplies energy to the entire universe, is unimaginably great. It nourishes every star, planet, moon, etc. in the universe and holds them in precise orbits for billions of years. Compare this to the Sputnik and other artificial satellites put into space by scientists who are all intelligent individuals working to project a tiny object into space for a relatively short period of time. It is absurd to think that all the gigantic stars, planets, and moons are held in precise orbits for millions of years by accident without any intelligent individuals orchestrating such a grandiose arrangement and maintaining it. Okay, so now you get the idea. I'm not going to read the rest of this. So if we analyze things honestly, you cannot say that things happen by accident. It's impossible. Because if you look at the length, breadth, width, and magnitude of the universe and all its complexities and all its orderly functioning, and everything is predictable and regulated by laws, it's insane to say that it happened by accident. But yet, that's what the scientists are saying, even today. That's what they're teaching your kids, that it all happened by accident. And they're teaching things like Darwinism, which is completely speculative. Darwin himself admits it, right? Okay, so I thought it would be an interesting thing to hear. I'm going to send this to everyone. You have to be trained to defeat people in a discussion about God doesn't exist. Everything proceeds by science, research, and reason. That's not true. It's absolutely not true. But if we don't educate ourselves by hearing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then we're not going to be able to say anything, and we just go along like sheep, following the leader sheep that jumps off a cliff, and all the other sheep follow. Right? We're jumping off a cliff by believing these people. Okay, we'll stop right there. Are there any questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Does nature creates an atmosphere for its own destruction? Like for example, Amazon forest, even though it's a very big forest and it's considered as a length of Earth planet, but there is a gold also. So all these illegal gold miners are going there and destroying it. There is a lot of...
Well, wait a minute. Ravana went there 1.7 million years ago. And he exploited way more than what the...
So
gold guys today are doing.
So nature is creating an atmosphere for its own destruction.
Well, you just said that the gold miners are going there and destroying a lot of those trees or whatever.
Yeah.
So why do you say nature is destroying itself?
Because nature has
Are
kept.
those scientists, are those gold diggers impersonal nature, or are they people?
What do you think is gold? The gold is kept in the forest. If gold was there in Sahara Desert, then there will be no. They might have gone to desert, right? So why the nature has kept the gold in the forest?
There's gold everywhere. It's not just gold in the forest in Brazil. There's gold in Washington State. There's gold in Alaska. You never heard of the gold miners that came from in the 1850s, from 1860s, 70s? They came to
Gold rush.
Washington State, and then from Washington State they went to Alaska. And then they went to California also. There's gold in California also. There's gold in Wyoming. There's gold all over the place. It's not just in the Brazilian forest. You don't know anything about gold. What your homework is, find out all the countries that have gold in the world. And you come back tomorrow and tell us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay? You see how ignorance is like all present all over the place, right? Yeah, you have a question?
Yes, Maharaj.
Is it about gold?
No. I had one pending question from the 2 classes before when we were discussing the banyan tree. I still can't get my head around the tips of the branches or the senses.
The sense.
Yeah, still I can't get around how we are the complete analogy. Except the branches are nurtured by the modes of material nature. So wherever there are modes of material natures are active, the branches are forming. But when it comes to the twigs and the tips of the branches, I can
Are the senses.
yeah, I cannot understand
Because
those.
the senses are being controlled by the 3 modes of material nature. That's the answer. Your senses, my senses, are being controlled by the modes of material nature. So, therefore, the tips of those twigs are the senses, and behind that are the branches. The branches are what? You tell me.
Modes of material nature.
Okay.
They're nurtured by. Okay.
There's your explanation. So it's to help you understand the body. Your body has senses. And those senses are controlled right now by the modes of material nature. What we want is that our senses be controlled by Krishna, not the modes of material nature. That's why we're trying to assimilate this knowledge and stop this artificial control of our senses by the modes of material nature, so that we can be liberated from the cycle of birth and death. But as long as our senses are controlled, our senses are knowledge acquiring instruments. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin are knowledge acquiring instruments, right? That we've been given, right? So, as long as they're controlled by the material senses, we will make mistakes. And we'll never be able to free ourselves from the cycle of birth and death. So we're trying to get rid of the influence of the modes of material nature and be influenced by Krishna and his instructions. And the way to do that is by being engaged in devotional service. Even if you don't hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, but if you're engaged in devotional service 24 hours a day, you will be free of the influence of the modes of material nature. But most people cannot maintain that 24 hours a day and without having knowledge. So therefore, we have knowledge and we demonstrate it by being engaged always in devotional service. So the more we engage in devotional service, the more we get free of the modes of material nature's control on us. And that means the more we stop making mistakes in this life.
So the
It's
message.
like Prabhu made a mistake. He was. Why don't you explain the mistake you made about the boiling oil? Give him the microphone.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Maharaj. So around
How many
a
years
decade
ago
back.
was it? 6 years? 7 years?
It's in 2011, so more than
Okay.
10 years.
More than 10 years, yeah.
So one day we were trying to fry in the big pan in the home, and
With dalda, right?
it,
Was
I
it
mean,
dalda or was it ghee?
It was oil, but
With
similar like
dalda,
dalda.
okay.
And like all
That
hydrogenated
was the
oil.
first mistake. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah, and that oil pan was caught the fire after some time.
Yeah, because you just kept the fire on all the
Yes.
time, right? When you
Yes.
probably were walking away and coming back, walking away.
Yes, because of overheat, it got the fire, and at that time I was not sure what to do because the pan was like slightly big and it was like full fire on that whole pan.
It
So
was pretty though. It's nice. You didn't need any lights, you know. Lighted up the whole house.
yes, so we turned off the stove, but fire was like keep going, and so the mistake I did is I tried to remove myself from the stove, the pan.
Oh wow!
And
Yeah, there's mistake number 2. And what happened?
And because my hand was very close to the pan, so hand got like third degree burn. Third degree means like it's totally burned.
Really bad. It's the worst.
Worse. And as soon as I moved the pan, because the oil moved little bit, so flame also increased. And that time
Because it got more oxygen.
yeah, and
It exploded, right?
not too much exploded, but it was like a one flash for a second, and then I left the pan in the side, and that movement gave me like around 17% of burn, or 1 degree, 2 degree,
My God.
everywhere. And it took like very long time to recover from that.
Yeah.
So there are several
Krishna
mistakes.
saved you. What if some of that went into your eyes?
Yeah, it went somewhere here and everywhere, but not in the eyes. at
Yeah,
all.
Krishna saved you.
So it was like 100% protection by Krishna. I can see that. Like I recovered.
So
and
do you still use dalda and cook things
no, Maharaj.
in your pot?
No, Maharaj. We use ghee now. 100%.
You use ghee,
Yes.
but you still fry?
Little bit, yes.
I wouldn't
sometime.
do that.
Okay,
It's too
Maharaj.
dangerous.
Yes. So Maharaj, what we after that we realized that another mistake was the pan was not that heavy enough to hold the heat. It was like very
It's thin.
thin pan.
Yeah.
That was another mistake. We should use a very heavy pan so that it will it can
diffuse the heat.
Yeah, and the later also I studied like there are many ways to deal with such problems. Like you cover the lid of the pan, then there will be no oxygen, and then fire will go away very quickly. Because
No, the best way is don't do it. That's the best way. Then you have to worry about the pot, the lid, and all that stuff.
Yes, Maharaj.
Anything you do with such a amount of heat and oil is extremely dangerous. It's
Yes,
extremely dangerous. Haribol. You see, we make mistakes because we're influenced by the modes of material nature. Go ahead.
Maharaj, so I had correct understanding is the tips and the twigs are just they are supported by the modes of material nature. That's the correct understanding. Those senses and the objects of senses. And then when it comes to the leaves, my understanding is the leaves are trying to cover the modes of material nature. That's Vedas. Is that how should I take the understanding or?
Cover?
Yeah, cover the
No, it's
because when
trying
we see
to
the banyan tree away from.
educate you how to deal with them, not cover. Why would does it say cover?
No, that was my understanding. But
don't use words like that.
so
The Vedas are supposed to educate you, just like he was educated. The way to deal with it is put a cover on top. But that's dangerous too, right? But anyway, the Vedas are giving you knowledge by which you can free yourself from the influence of the modes of material nature.
how is typical when we look at the tree, right?
What?
When we look at the banyan tree, how do I understand that leaves are help us to understand the branches?
If the leaves are the Vedas, what does it say? What
Yeah, the leaves are the Vedas.
Okay, so, now look. This is called a metaphor. I want that your homework is look up the word metaphor, and tomorrow I'll explain more. You don't understand what a metaphor is, okay? It has nothing to do with meta or okay. All right. Any more questions? Yes.
Who wants it?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribol.
Maharaj, in today's class you talked about the Catholic Church.
Yes.
Why did the Catholic Church say that the
Sun is the center of the earth.
Yeah. If Catholicism also originated from Jesus and Jesus is Son of God, then he should be giving the right information. Why is that misunderstanding in the first place?
Because imperfect people made the assumption. Just like the Mormons. Mormonism started like 1850s, 1860s in the United States. It's not an old religion, it's a new religion, right? Up until I think 1970, they didn't let black people into their religion because they thought black people were animals. They were not actually human beings. But they finally changed that opinion. Now, that's a religion, right? And they think black people are not human beings. They might even think that, Andhra Pradeshis are not living beings, or Tamilians are not living beings because some of them are very dark skinned, right? So, it's because they have imperfect, speculators that are leaders of the religion. So that's what happened in Catholicism also.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Okay, we'll stop. Thank you. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. If you want, I'll send you this, A Revolution in the Lives of the Impious.
Yes, Babaji. Can I sing? Hold it.
Oh, wait a minute. Let somebody else sing. Let Sanmukh. Here comes.
I didn't sing yesterday.
No, that's all right. You've been singing too much. Let other people sing.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhagati Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhagati Sadma Bhagati Sama Bando Mohi Savadana Mate
Bando Mohi
Jahara Prasade Vai He Baba Toriya Jai Toriya Jai Jahara Prasade Vai He Baba Toriya Jai Krishna prapti hoy jaha hoite Krishna prapti hoy jaha hoite
Krishna Prati
Gurumukha Padmavakya Chitete Koriya Kya Chitete Koriya Kya Arana Kori Ho Mane Asha
Arana Koriya Mane Asha
Arana Kori Ho Mane Asha
Arana Koriya Mane Asha
Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati
Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati
Jai Prasad Pure Sarva Asha
Ye Prasade Pure Sarva Asha
Jai Prasad Pure Sarva Asha
Ye Prasade Pure Sarva
चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित प्रेम भक्ति जहा होते अविद्या विनाश जाते प्रेम भक्ति जहा होते अविद्या विनाश जाते वेद गाय जहर चरित श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आदम जनार बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आदम जनार बंधु लोकेना लोकेरा जीवाना हा हा प्रभु कर दया देह मोरे पाद छाया हा हा प्रभु कर दया देह मोरे पाद छाया ए विजा सुशुति भुवाना प्रभु पाद पतित पवना Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Hare. Nitya Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitya Gaura Hari Bo.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pararajika Chasta Tarasatara Shimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Shri Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Vaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vinda Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapura Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Ganga Maya Ki Jai, Jamuna Maya Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to Shri Guru and Shri Guranga, all glorious to His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain the pure devotional service. I bow down to His lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By His grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Now, I wish to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from His lotus mouth. Attachment to His lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and